Chapter 22. Turning Idols into Peers. Because it was essentially a day off for us, we decided we would just lounge and play wiffleball in the parking lot most of the day. Out of the corner of my eye, I noticed a figure in the distance watching the game. It was none other than Paul Stanley. I quickly jogged over to him and said, "Hey Paul, do you want to play?" Never in my wildest imagination did I think he'd say yes. I was just asking to be nice because I saw him watching. He replied, "Sure, I'll take an at-bat." Paul and I walked over to join the game. I started to pitch to Paul, but it wasn't in my competitive nature to lob pitches in so he could hit them. I threw 3 straight curveballs and he was out. I couldn't believe that a year ago I was in the Hamptons with my friends playing wiffleball, and now I was pitching to Kiss's Paul Stanley. Paul seemed a little agitated by my curves, so I let Paulie pitch to him. Before he began, I ran into catering to grab a few waters for everybody. As soon as I walked in, I saw Gene and Eric. Gene yelled, "Buttafuoco!" Gene always called me Buttafuoco because of Joey Buttafuoco from the popular Amy Fisher news story from the 90s. I went over and told them, "Hey, we're playing wiffleball outside. Paul's playing. Come and play with us." They said yes right away and seemed genuinely excited. I think ZO2 was a nice shot in the arm for Paul and Gene that summer. We had this unbridled innocence and youth about us that they enjoyed. Gene seemed like a little kid when I asked him to come play ball with us. As soon as I walked out with Gene and Eric, it was official. It had become ZO2 versus Kiss in wiffleball. I started pitching a few warm-up curveballs to Gene, and he couldn't believe how I was making the ball curve. He ducked away from every pitch, even though they were hitting the strike zone. After warm-ups, we decided to pitch to our counterparts. Paulie Z would pitch to Paul Stanley, Dave Z would pitch to Gene Simmons, and I would pitch to Eric Singer. Paulie started against Paul, and his first pitch was a strike right down the middle. Feeling a little brazen and cocky, Paulie Z told Paul, "I call that pitch my love gun. Here comes the destroyer." Everyone began to crack up. That was until Paul's comeback. "Be careful. We can still throw you off this tour." Paul ripped a double right after that. Thank God. Gene was next. Gene decided to hold the wiffleball bat with only one hand and easily blasted a double off Dave. He walked away and gave Paul a high five as if to silently say, "Let's take these kids down." It was now my turn to pitch to Eric. Gene yelled, "Oh, come on! He's like a professional pitcher." I laughed and then struck Eric out on 3 consecutive pitches. Before it was time for Kiss to pitch to us, Brett Michaels, who was off to the side watching, yelled, "Hey, let me get an at-bat," as if to say, "I can hit better than those guys." Brett was a known athlete, and he was always in the parking lot either throwing a football or having a softball catch. Because of this, they all wanted me to pitch to him, sort of like a challenge to see if I could get him out. Brett was pretty good at sports, but he was no match for me in wiffleball. On the first pitch, I threw him a slow overhand curve. He didn't duck out of the way like Gene did, but his knees definitely buckled a little. Strike 1. The second pitch I threw looked like the same pitch to the batter, but it was actually a slider low and away. He took a big, massive swing and missed. Strike 2. He looked a little upset. I knew it was over before I even threw the third pitch. I then tossed a gentle riser that I knew would end up about 2 feet over his head, even though it looked like it was going right down the middle. Sure enough, Brett couldn't lay off, and it was strike 3. He tossed the bat up in the air and said, "Forget it." I think this also scared everyone else off because Kiss also walked away shaking their heads in disbelief. So, technically, ZO2 won. Even though I basically ended the game before it began, I couldn't hold back and not really pitch to Brett. After that, everyone was scared to play wiffle ball with me for the rest of the tour. As amazing as this whole tour experience had been, this might have been my favorite moment of all. It was just genuine fun. Gene, Paul, Eric, and Brett were really having a good time. They had been rock stars for so long and had people bowing down to them for so long that I don't think they ever could just let their guards down and have fun. It was a great day.